So, how did the Dance Hall Crashers get back together for the for some upcoming shows, and how has band practice been going so far?
How do we get back together for these upcoming shows? Well, we've been in a fair amount of communication already, just kind of deciding to kind of work on some merch and like be a little bit more present. We've had a communication going for a while that was just fun and friendly and just sharing things and family things. And then Elise kind of messaged us. I've been touring with NoFX a lot and getting a lot of just really sweet comments from different fans of NoFX and people that were backstage and band members that we toured with and band members' kids, and like it was just kind of like a lot of people coming up to me kind of randomly and saying like, I know you're in NoFX, but like, what about Dance Hall Crashers? Are you ever going to do a reunion and all this stuff? It was really sweet to hear all these comments and like from Europe and everywhere. And so I was sort of messaging everybody, telling them like, people are asking, and we'd been getting asked a lot over the years, but we kind of just didn't have the wherewithal, like bandwidth. Just everyone's like busy lives and families, and we're spread out now and don't all live in the same city. So I think just the timing was right. Elise got a call from Kevin from Warped, who she's good friends with, and we've booked with many years over many years, and she's still good friends with. And he's often asked us to come back and do reunion shows, like when they were doing their final tour in 2000, whatever that was, 19 or something. And so this time she just kind of was like, well, I don't know, let me ask the rest of the band. So she sent us a text. Jason was just saying this the other day. It was just very funny. It was actually like election night, which was kind of a weird night to get this kind of random message like, hey guys, do you have time for a Zoom tomorrow? And it was like, tomorrow, like not just like planned. So
No
she
agenda.
got, yeah. What was that?
No agenda at
Yeah, no
all.
agenda,
No
right.
details.
And we were sort of like, what? Because I mean, I had just recently been asked by many friends, even just maybe a week previous, like, are you guys ever going to do a reunion? And I was like, really unlikely, really unlikely. It's just too much work for us all to get in the same place. So anyway, she got a call from Kevin and was like, well, let me consider it and let me ask everybody. So that's how that went. You can answer the next part of the question or
Yeah.
continue on this one, Jason.
I mean, just to add on, yeah, I mean, it came out of nowhere. None of us were thinking anything was happening. I think like Karina had literally done an interview like a week or two before. I think it was with the guy from Less Than Jake, or it was one of those interviews, and you were just like, nah, no reunion coming.
I think
Um,
it was In Defense of Ska. That was like airing.
oh, that's right. Yeah, so it just kind of came out of nowhere. Practice has been good. So initially, right after we all said we were interested in doing it, Elise and Karina got together, where Elise lives now, and made sure they could still sing the songs, right? Because we didn't want to come back and sound bad. Gavin and I have been playing in other bands, so we were pretty confident that we could play all the songs. But yeah, then we got together in December and practiced, and everybody sounded great except me. I sounded pretty bad. I came in very high confidence, but I don't know. It was either
Low skill. Just
nervousness
kidding.
or something. I don't know. But anyway, now everything sounds great. So we've been practicing every month since December. Got a lot of like fun songs we've never played or very rarely played or played a very long time ago. So we really wanted to make sure we weren't doing the live record like exactly, you know. So so it's cool. It's a cool thing.
Jason, you didn't sound that
That's great.
Thank you.
bad.
It sounded bad to me. So
Yeah, Jason's super solid. I think it's. I was saying this before to somebody else, but muscle memory is a very strange thing because you think you're going to remember everything, but you only remember like chunks of like a song or sections, and it will sort of be like suddenly you're singing or playing something that you don't even know, from 20 years ago. Like, what am I saying right now? I have no concept of what that I wrote this, and then there'll be other like holes, like like what the hell did I do there? Like I have no memory of writing this, playing this, or anything. So it's very funny. Muscle memory is kind of a bizarre thing to kind of tap into, like what is
It's
going
totally a trip too. And we changed the key on a couple songs and that just destroys all muscle memory entirely. And then we were playing a couple songs where I'm not even sure if we played them since Scott was in the band. And so some of them Scott had leads on them and things like that or solos. And so
It's been
from
fun. It
yeah,
sounded good though. It sounded great.
it sounds really good. And we've got an awesome second guitar player playing with us, Graber, who did second guitar stuff with NoFX and
John Graber
everybody, like every ska band, I think, has worked with Graber in some way or another, it seems like. But
recently. Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
great. He really he totally gets it, and I think we sound really good playing together. I think our styles are very complementary, so it's cool. I think people will be stoked.
It's really great. Um, and since you mentioned the live record, are you guys planning on recording any of the live shows or no?
I don't know. We say never at this point because we keep saying like we're not going to do any more shows, and then something else comes up or whatever. But I can say with some confidence we're not going to record the San Francisco shows or any of the ones coming up. I think Warp, there might be a live stream of that or something, but we did a live record. I think that live record's really cool, even though we played everything way too fast. And then we did a DVD that's also I think turned out cool. So I don't think this is the time for us to do that right now. And I also think I think it changes the live performance a bit, you
A
know?
lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think
You're nervous and you're like worrying about, yeah, it's not worth it.
yeah. Like I remember when we did the DVD, a coworker of mine at the time went to the show and he said, "You looked so like stressed out and like you were concentrating." I was all, "Yeah, I was stressed out," you know? And it's like because it's just a different vibe when you know that everything's getting recorded. Um, so yeah, this is just going to be free and fun, especially San Francisco.
Yeah. I think
Nice.
we want to make sure that we're having fun. Even coming back after 20 years
Yeah.
is a big deal, and making sure that our stage show feels, energetic and spontaneous and, you know, and fun and it does put a level of stress on that we don't need.
Yeah. I think number one goal is fun because
Yeah.
if we all have fun, then it means we'll likely do some other stuff. If we don't have fun, then then
This is
that
it.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, that just the process of putting, these five people in the same room is actually already pretty challenging because we live in separate places and everyone's got very busy and active lives otherwise. So just clearing schedules, which was one of the reasons we didn't do it before, to be honest, so to in order to get together. So like it's got to be just fun and playful and like low stress, or else it's not worth it for anybody.
yeah, I mean it's a big investment of time and money, even just to practice, just to get people fly out here or drive up here or renting places to practice and all that. So it all kind of just lined up. I'm actually, I'm still often surprised this is even happening. So,
Me too.
Yeah, because I remember when you made the announcement that the web store was coming up, I was excited. I'm like, well, I'm holding out hope that you guys would get back together and do something else. But
God, the thing that's so funny is that like there was zero plans like
Absolutely.
like it
Absolutely.
was it was that whole thing was brought on like I don't even want to talk too much about it, but it was all related to the kind of the reissue of Honey I'm Homely that we weren't involved in and us just being like, wow, the internet's filled with people like making our t-shirts and all this stuff. And
Oh yeah.
what do you mean you can re-release a record with Universal? And you know what I mean? So it was really us just being like, we should really do something like it was us discovering social media after like 20 years. Like, oh, hey, there's this thing, social media, and we can actually like post stuff and we can have a store and stuff like that. So the fact that it all culminated in us playing shows was never ever on any of our radar, unless maybe I don't
It
know.
wasn't a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on social media the whole time, but
I
no, but I would say even more than like discovering social media because we weren't really present, but also just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I would see people, with bootlegged DHC Dancehall Crusher t-shirts, like in England and stuff, and I was like, what? Like people are like making our stuff, and that of course that happens, but it was sort of like, well, let's take control of this a little bit then, at least that's the least we can do right now with
yeah
our busy schedules, is like maybe have some like, take control of our own, property and our own our stuff
yeah
right now. So we
and
kind
like
of started there, like, which of course we've always been generally good at in the past, but we just all kind of disengaged and done moved on to other things, so it was sort of like, okay, let's reconnect about this at least, and have some control over our own material.
yeah, and also and just like, do things the way we would want to do them too. Like I
Exactly.
think what's been really cool this time is just like from the posters to the new merch to everything else, we're all figuring it out together and it's all stuff we're proud of, I mean, we operate where everybody gets a veto, which is crazy that we get anything accomplished, but we're all able to kind of come together and figure stuff like out and like we're super thrilled with the way the poster just turned out for SF and for Anaheim and yeah, I think it's going to be cool.
Have you kind of been surprised by the response that the fans have had so far? Because it seems like everything is sold out like super quickly, and it almost kind of like has come full circle because Jason, your daughter's going to be opening up with Small Crush, so that's a pretty big moment too.
Oh, that's the coolest thing ever. So, I mean, we've been joking. So she's been playing in bands since she was like in junior high school. And since she started playing music, and it was all on her own, I never was like, you should learn to play guitar or anything like that. Like it was just she does everything on her own. But we've always been joking, like, wouldn't it be cool if? And it was like, yeah, that would be cool, but it's never gonna happen. But yeah, so for this to come together, like the second we even talked about San Francisco shows, I was all, it would be really cool if my daughter's band, could open one of them, and so we're thrilled. It's a dream come true for our family.
And also just to kind of to mention that I know that one of the reasons that we are doing this, everybody in the band besides myself has two kids, and they all have been asking their parents, like, when do we get to see Dancehall Crushers? Well, you'll
Yeah,
never get to see them, and or whatever. And so this is definitely kind of an incentive, for us to kind of make it happen. I know that, you know, I'm the one without kids, but like I feel like I can speak for all of you to say that is like a major thing. Like
totally. Like it
that's
is
kind of the reason, actually,
it
almost
is so
more than
cool.
anything else.
Yeah, because even though I had kids, even when we were still touring and stuff, and even when like when Purr came out and all that, they just never Logan never came to any of the shows, and then
So, yeah.
by the time 2004 came around, then I had two kids, but it was like, you're not going to take a newborn to, the show. And so anyway, I guess I just never was thinking like, oh, we might just stop playing. And, I always figured the kids would see us eventually. And then that never happened. And it was a sad thing because they would like wear the merch all the time. So that's probably the coolest part too.
And Mikey's kids getting into bass right now too. She's asking for her dad to show her bass lines, DHC
Yep.
bass lines, which is super cute. She's really young. So cute.
And her very first show was to see Small Crush play down in
Oh,
LA.
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
so we were down there and to see Small Crush go to Disneyland and all that. And then Mikey came and that was her first show. So and she was
that's
had a
funny.
great time. So it's all super fun.
It's awesome. Uh, and Karina, what was it like playing on NoFX's last tour?
It was incredibly intense, amazing. Super proud of them for so much. I mean, I just who they are for people individually, and their entire family, like the feeling of how they work and how they do everything, the kind of just doing everything themselves, a DIY kind of aesthetic, which really has been like consistent, and they've done an amazing job at. Mike's just kind of a genius. Sorry, I just realized I can't swear probably. Sorry. Uh, but I just think that they the whole last tour was like really emotional, really intense, and seeing, their fan base just kind of everywhere coming out, how much love they got, how much respect they got from bands, from scenes. I feel like they've created such a an anomaly of like way like the way that they've done things has been so incredible, and people really came out and gave them so much love for that, and it was really beautiful. Very emotional and really fun and really wild, as you might imagine, because it's a wild group. And very intense. I mean, I think I'm still recovering from it for October. I think we all are. The very last weekend was particularly, amazing, and yeah, just a lot of love. They've really created a family, I think. Their crew's been working for them for 30 plus years in most cases, and we have several of them that are joining us for this Dance Hall Crasher run. So Kent is going to be doing sound, who was their manager and front of house sound guy, and John Graber was playing with us, so I get to reconnect with them, and Jay Walker, one of their long-term crew members. So it was beautiful. It was intense.
Yeah, and we've been stealing their guys for a long time. So we
Yeah,
had, we had Kent tour manage us and doing sound for us and Jay. So it's like all that is so cool too.
yeah,
These old friends who, we haven't seen in age. I mean, Karina sees them all the time, but we haven't worked with in ages. It's so cool that we have them along for the ride.
yeah. And I'm just proud of those guys for also for just like making a lot of great statements politically and musically, you know. But I think that they're very important, and I think that they sometimes I think some people wrote them off at times as being a sort of like jokey Southern California band because they're skate punk band because they're very funny. But I think their humor allowed them to say a lot of things that I think were really important. And like the fact that we had a rainbow flag hanging off my keyboard that I was playing for years before I joined, but everybody's generally, straight, married, whatever, but supporting, gay rights and you know, Mike wearing a dress. Like I just think it was really good. They pushed a lot of boundaries at a time that really needed to happen. And so I think they're going to be missed as a force actually.
Yeah, they'll definitely be missed for sure.
Yeah.
They're they're so great live too.
It's amazing. I mean, honestly, every night, every single night, different comedy jokes. A few repeats here and there, but very few, very, very few compared to, many bands that we've toured with. That it's like the same constant, stage show that's a little bit tiring. Not going to name any names.
And we're
Completely
lucky
get
too,
that.
because I mean, we one of the probably the last time we toured Europe was with NoFX.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. We had a great time. Went golfing every day. It was super fun.
I do have a few Sacramento questions.
Yeah,
The
bring them
first
up.
one, have you guys played Sacramento before? And if so, what were some of your more memorable shows?
We have played Sacramento.
Once, twice, like that's it. Is that it?
Um,
I remember playing with the Groovy Ghoulies.
right. We played the
Well,
Cab Club.
yeah, that's right.
I don't know if the Groovy Ghoulies played that one, but I think it was with the Muffs and Buck,
That
maybe
sounds right.
Cattle Club. We also pretty sure we played there with Third Eye Blind. Um,
Yeah.
and then think we also played at the university at some point, like a outdoor thing. Um, yeah, no, so we've played it a handful of times. It wasn't like a regular stop, but we did make it up to Sacramento a few times. And honestly, every time I feel like I go to Sacramento, I'm like, Sacramento's way cooler than I remember it being. So, like there was like good food and stuff like that.
And I do have a couple of A's questions for you, Jason.
Go for it.
Okay.
Tear the
With
Band-Aid off.
yeah, what with the A's now temporarily in Sacramento before moving to Vegas, supposedly. Um, what was it like for you during their final season, and also how has your fandom kind of changed?
Wow. Okay. Heartbreaking is not like that's an understatement for how messed up that whole thing is. Um, every time I'm looking at like Facebook and a memory comes up, it's like me and my girls or me and Gavin at an A's game. So we had season tickets. My friends and I would ride bikes to the game because I live close enough to ride bikes to the game. I mean, and it went from pre-pandemic to they were really good in terms of like how they interacted with the fans. So they had like the ballpark pass. So basically, if you had a season ticket plan, you could go to any game you wanted to. So like on the way home from work, like commuting on bikes, we'd just stop by, have a beer, watch a few innings. And then after the pandemic, it was like all the prices were double and it was just terrible. And I remember like that year, the season ticket plans, they're like, no, you can't have that season ticket plan anymore. You have to like basically spend two or three times as much. And that was like just the beginning of the end. And then over and over again, like moving and, I don't think they negotiated in good faith with the city of Oakland at all. I think they always intended to move away. And so, sadly, my fandom has ended with the A's. I have a Giants hat now. I have a Ballers hat because I still love the colors. But yeah, it's just such a drag. It's such a sad way for the whole thing to happen. I wish they had just left the name and, you know, I wish Vegas was getting expansion team. Or I wish they just moved to Sacramento or San Jose directly, and then I probably would still be kind of hanging around on it. But yeah, they really need a new owner. They really do.
We've been hearing a lot of calls for that too, that a lot of A's fans have been saying as much that they won't go to Sacramento because
Yeah,
of John Fisher.
totally.
And
I,
have you been hearing a lot of that from other A's fans? And also with the Ballers, have a lot of them switched their allegiances? Because I know that Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day has also been supporting the Ballers as well.
yeah, so the Ballers is like a cool thing. It's not even single A or anything. It's Pioneer League. It's just more of a cool social thing. But they get a great turnout. I don't know, it's right next to Soundwave, a place where DHC used to practice and a lot of bands practice. It's in West Oakland. Um, I think some of us are trying to become Giants fans. Like Gavin and I were like the most hardcore A's fans ever. And we're both trying to become Giants fans. It's not that easy. It's not the same thing. But, I went through this with the Raiders, and I am, it's 49er fan now, so it may take time. But it's not the same as it was. Like I do miss it. I miss like just being that excited to like go to games or listen to the games on the radio or, watch them on TV and stuff. So it's been a real bummer.
That was all of the Sacramento questions. I didn't want
Okay,
to.
that's good. That's good. It's a sore subject. It really is,
I totally get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it. Yeah. Um, so, there's been a lot of stories about kind of the origin of the band. I'm wondering if I can kind of hear the true origin because I've heard variations of it where Elise went to 924 Gilman Street and saw the Dance Hall Crashers with Tim and Matt, and that, they were saying that we're breaking up. We give you the band. I, I'm just trying to, yeah, I kind of figured that that was kind of like in the wind.
Yeah. Um,
She may have seen Operation Ivy,
yeah,
not
she did see Operation
yeah,
Ivy.
not
Sure.
I. Sorry, just to clarify that she's probably saw Operation Ivy obviously at Gilman, but not Dance with Crashers.
Yeah, I can give you kind of the mostly definitive story. So, um, Dance Hall Crashers was like a side project that was started by Tim, you know, as a more ska thing while Op Ivy was still going. Um, I played in a bunch of punk bands like Rabid Lassie, these kind of these Gilman bands. and we played with Operation Ivy a lot. Um, I was not at the very first practice. I don't know who was, but eventually they were looking for a guitar player, and I was like, I don't know how to play ska, and I showed up and learned how to play ska and all that, but it was different, two different singers at the time. Um, and, while there were people that continued on in the band, like Joel Wing, our bass player, Jamie McCormick, Jamie may have been later, actually, come to think of it. Eric was there, our original drummer. So there was like two-thirds of the folks were probably people we might have done a show or two before Elise joined, I think. It's fair to say like one or two shows. And then we got Elise, which was great. And then shortly thereafter, like within 6 months, we got Karina, after we'd done kind of our first demo. And yeah, and it started off as a very casual thing that I think nobody was thinking would be playing 30 something years later. Um, there was a lot of people involved, but a lot of those people were involved for a minute. I think the album, the old record, is a good snapshot of the people that were in the band. Um, that's kind of when I feel like the band really started, right? We did a demo before that, and it was mostly the same people, but it really solidified once we had Elise and Karina. And I think that's what we sound like, right? How would we sound if we had at least in a guy singer. It was totally different thing. So, that's kind of the history of where things went. Obviously, we put out the old record. We broke up for a minute. We got back together. That's when my brother came in. Or actually he came in a little bit before that, but then we got Mikey and I think the records speak for themselves more than like we were talking about this the other day. Like on the Wikipedia page, there's like a million people, like people that maybe went to a practice. Like not most of the people on there didn't play a show or even record with us. So, but that's just kind of the way Wikipedia works, and that's fine. We just kind of let our albums speak for themselves, um, in terms of who's in the band and all that. And everybody that was ever in the band we never kicked out a single person. Like we never fired anybody. People just
Yep.
left on their own.
Yeah.
It wasn't a high priority for a lot of people except for us, the people that are left. We really poured our hearts and souls into this, in terms of writing everything together and, you know, it's like a family at this point.
Yeah, I mean it is a fun little snapshot of the, East Bay punk and ska scenes. I think that, people went on to other bands or left, California because they were in college, at UC Berkeley or whatever they might have been doing. So any variation of things, but it is a sort of a fun little like first year and a half or 2 years or just like
Yeah.
everybody came through our band at some point for like yeah like a practice or whatever it might have been but we've it's been this consistent group obviously for the very long period of time and we've been pretty dedicated whereas those early days it was kind of like you know post teens funny
Yeah.
ska punk
Yeah. We're
scooter
all
skinhead
teenagers.
scene like mod scene just like everybody was in different people's bands anyway I mean that's
Yep. I mean, at the time, and this kind of just goes back to our like connection with Op Baby, but like at the time I started in Dance Hall Crashers, like within a few months, I was playing with all of the guys from Op Baby except Jesse and Downfall too, with Dave Mello's brother Pat also playing it. And so I was learning so much from Tim just like on a daily basis in terms of, writing songs and ska and all that. So while he wasn't necessarily like playing shows with us, Matt did come back and play bass with us for some shows while our bass player was recovering from a car accident. But it was definitely not like here, take the band or anything weird like that. It was a scene and we were all part of that scene and we were all kind of, doing what we do in that scene in various bands.
and I remember just like running into Tim like riding around on his bike, on his BMX, because we would all see each other and hang out and play shows and all of that, like warehouse parties. When I was in high school, I lived very close to Gilman Street. So, my younger brother, who's a year younger than me, that's kind of how I got into Dance Hall Crashers was because he was a big part of the scene. So I was a scooter boy and would go to Gilman all the time. I would go sometimes, but we lived really close. But I mean, I would see like Tim Armstrong all the time at warehouse parties on Adeline Street and East Bay,
Yeah.
big scene. And I remember him like handing me a flyer for Rancid and being like, "This is my new band. You should come see it." And this is like, like somewhere in Berkeley, like at a coffee shop, just like him on his BMX handing me a flyer. So, I mean, it was kind of, people were doing several things at once, and when I joined, like there was a little bit of that, continuation of people coming in and out and into other bands, like Andrew Atai showing up for rehearsal and like blah blah blah. Like there, lots of that going on. So it was the scene at the time, Green Day and everybody. So
Yeah, I'm glad I got to hear the origin story just because, the internet, there, there's so many
oh, the
false
internet.
stories. Yeah.
Internet's
Believe
never been
everything you
Yeah.
okay.
read.
Well, no, no.
No.
I mean, I feel like of all like any band I can think of, like I feel like we've gotten the all the weirdest stories about us on the internet and just all these like crazy stuff and are they ska enough and the horns and all that stuff. It's funny now 20 years later. It's just like, we're sellouts and all that stuff. And now nobody cares about any of that stuff. And it's just, you know,
Yeah.
it's more just about the music and I think
Yeah, there was a lot of that when we were kind of coming up, was like,
yeah.
now they've dropped the horn, so they're not ska enough, or now this and that. It's like you know, somehow combining punk and ska was like offensive, even though Op Ivy and the Specials were already doing it, and those were some of our favorite bands. So it was like, there's like all these kind of variations of like Op Ivy didn't play with horns, so like, you know what I mean? It's like how we got like a lot of flack for that, which was always kind of funny, when we were, following the footsteps or trying to rather, of like the Clash and like Op Ivy and
Yeah.
Specials, like people that were already doing, great punk ska kind of combos. So anyway, that was, yeah, we did get a lot of
We did. And that the old record did not turn out anything like I thought it would. I mean, like I probably like 6 months before we recorded the old record, we recorded the Downfall record, which never came out. It's a whole nother story. With the same engineer at the same studio with Kevin Army. And that turned out really cool. And it was like kind of like if Op Ivy was a little bit more ska and Tim was singing. And I just thought we would have a similar vibe with the DHC record. And and it didn't. And it was just different. And it was really,
you
really,
got two
really
chicks
ska.
on there.
Yeah, but no, I don't even mean you guys. I just mean like the guitar stuff and the drums and so many horns and I feel like I feel like Honey I'm a Homely and Purr sound like what we sound like and obviously the live record does. But I felt like both the old record and Lockjaw, like the songs are like our songs and stuff, but it's like they weren't capturing what we really sound like.
Yeah, I think that's why it was really nice to do the live record and the DVD to get a little bit, and our later albums, I think, sound more exciting and live, and like they don't sound as kind of flat as maybe some of our
Yeah,
other recordings might have sounded, sadly for us. For the musicians in the band, it's like kind of
yeah,
like some of us, maybe other people in the band like it more than, I think Jason and I feel the same way about, like, it didn't quite capture what we wanted.
yeah,
But I think our live show was had something that wasn't quite captured always on our earlier recordings.
for sure.
Yeah, the live record definitely does bring it all together. I was wondering too, since you re-released Lockjaw, are you looking to re-release any of the other albums, maybe with some extra things in it, like the when you released Lockjaw?
You know, Never say never. I think it would be cool. And we have a lot of stuff. I think when we were putting Lockjaw together, I think we realized we probably had more stuff for Honey I'm Homely or even Purr than we did for Lockjaw. I still think all the stuff we put with Lockjaw is so cool, and there's so many songs on there I love, like Footsteps, where it's like, why didn't we ever properly record this and put this out? It's like such a good song. So I hope we do something like that again. I think that'd be cool. Everything's a lot of work, right? Everything takes like a ton of effort and time and um yeah, it's crazy. Just daily texts from everybody about everything.
Like 70 texts when you look down at your phone and
Yeah,
you were gone for an hour. It's like,
I
what?
know.
Ah!
It's all cool stuff though, like all important stuff, in terms of like merch stuff and, this or that. So like I don't know, it's like for just the fan or someone that maybe wants us to play a certain show or something like that. I don't know that everybody realizes everything that goes into just getting this thing going. Like even just like we always because we always had royalties and stuff, we always had kind of like still had this partnership structure set up and we had to pay taxes and all that. But like just getting all that stuff figured out just for this year and for even just the merch store, I think we underestimated, all the business end of just dealing with that, like sales tax and all that stuff. It's a lot, it's just a lot to get everything together. It's a lot of mental,
It's been a long time, and it's putting it back together from kind of,
yeah.
picking up from where we left off. Is a this many years later takes a lot, which is, I mean, we're stoked for it, but it's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's why we took it. That's why we weren't doing it when everyone was really busy with their kids and many other things.
Yeah. No,
It's
it's
like,
crazy. And it's also why, like, I know when originally the Warped Tour dates came out in San Francisco, it was kind of like, this is the only thing we have, which was true at the time. But, once you get the machine going, it's also, we did not expect to, be invited to play at Riot Fest. So that was like, wow, okay.
yeah,
That's like
that's
a
gonna be
dream
amazing.
come true.
Yeah, with Jawbreaker and
And
Green
Green
Day, and
Day,
I
oh my
know it's
God.
like, and then Weezer on Saturday night, who I want to go see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm bummed Camper's playing Friday night.
I know I
Friday
saw that.
I really want to see Camper. They're like one of my all-time favorites, and I don't know that I'll be able to see them, but
But I mean, that lineup is crazy that weekend. The whole weekend is like, oh, oh,
yeah.
oh.
And then so, with that, then it's like, oh, we need a warm-up show for that. And then so we always were like, Anaheim would be cool. And so it was fun. We're so stoked that Hepcat was up for playing with us.
Yes.
That was our second tour ever was with Hepcat. We had the best time. They're maniacs. We were shooting fireworks at vans and I mean it was just crazy. It was just
We
a
were young.
crazy
They were
fun.
young.
We were kids. Yeah, we were all teenagers basically
Yeah.
driving across country in four minivans. So it was
But
great.
yeah, still very good friends with them, and Elise managed them for a long time, but we're all just very close. So it's a lot of this whole thing coming back to all of this is really about family, honestly. It's like we're working with Kevin, who we worked with for years, at Warp Tour. Logan and Small Crush are opening. We get to play with Hepcat again. Like these are like long standing family, members, or relationships, and that's kind of the big thing, so
Yeah.
we're not sort of like, let's go on tour with, uh, I've made a lot of friends, like as well, like that maybe we'll play with, if we do more stuff in the future, but also that maybe we haven't played with as much in the old days. But I think, really it's primarily about having fun, but also about kind of, reconnecting with our old friends and our family members, literally our family members,
Yeah.
as far as Logan is concerned. That's the big motive and, incentive, I think, for us to keep it kind of, in that spirit.
Yeah.
Working
And
with Kent
it's
again, and working with, Jay Walker even is going to come in from NoFX crew, and our dear friend who toured with us as well. So yeah, keeping that family dynamic kind of close.
yeah. And what it's not though, and I think, not saying never because never's we're not saying that anymore, but like it's really, really unlikely, unfeasible that we do a tour and we go to like every town in America. So for anybody that's like,
Yeah.
well, you announced Anaheim is Kansas City next or Omaha, Nebraska, and it's like it's really hard for us to play like when you're on tour, you play places because they're between places, and so you hit a lot of towns, which is so cool, and it's been fun to watch Logan do US tour after US tour and hit all these crazy places. But for us, it's like we have jobs and we have dogs and we have children and we have, all these things that are going on. So we really have to do things differently than we used to do things.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, never say never, except that that's yeah, touring is not
That's
gonna
probably
help.
a never,
Yeah,
but we can't
that's
say
gonna be
that.
a
We
no.
can't say
I know,
that
I
because
know, I know.
because
But
it
it's
2 years from now, it'll be
pretty
like,
much a never. Yeah,
you said you were never coming to Kansas City, and here you
I
are.
know.
So,
Like
we're trying not to.
99.9% never on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. No offense, Kansas City.
yeah. Or St. Louis.
No worries. So is adding more shows later on kind of like a possibility?
Sure.
Or
Maybe, yes, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, as
We don't-
still just on that point, we we haven't planned anything. These were a surprise. Adding on like Riot Fest. Initially, we were not sure that we were gonna do LA, to be honest. So adding Anaheim, you know, and Riot Fest obviously is amazing. If we get to do a couple of exotic, fantastic other shows, hopefully we we may, be doing that. But it's not going to be like big touring. It's not going to be that's pretty much on everyone's agenda that we're not going to be doing that. So it's again about having fun, which means like, oh my God, yeah, we get to play,
Yeah.
this amazing show with, Jawbreaker and Green Day and Weezer and blah blah blah. Sure, well, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, my advice to fans would be, take advantage of the shows that are available now,
Yeah,
but don't be sad if we do play a show on the East Coast or if we do go to some places that we historically love to go to because, things we have kind of the machinery rolling at this point. And so we're like listening to offers when we get them and we're trying to be really thoughtful about it.
yeah,
But you know, I guess like initially we came out with people not wanting people to miss out because like we could have played, we could have put the San Francisco show up and it could have like not sold very well, or and that probably would have changed the way we were all thinking about everything, or maybe we don't have fun, maybe it's like really stressful. And so we don't want people to miss out on stuff, but at the same time, like sorry if you live in Southern California and you're coming up to San Francisco for the show. It's still going to be awesome. It's going to be the first time we played in a long, long time. And
and we
we
didn't know we were going to do we weren't clear we were going to do Anaheim, so this wasn't
exactly.
like
So
some a
yeah,
master plan to screw everybody or anything. We
exactly.
genuinely have been, it's day by day a little bit at this point
Yeah.
when
And
we go
we've
back.
really been trying to keep it fun for the fans. We kept the ticket prices as low as we can. I mean, things have changed a lot and, in terms of what people charge for shows and all that. So, and we're trying to pull out all the stops and make it be fun.
is there anything else that I haven't touched on about DHC that you want people to know about?
No, not really. Just you know what? We really appreciate all our fans and
Yeah,
we are humbled by the support that we get from them. And it's amazing to us, like every day, like that people still care 30 years later, you know? It's
absolutely.
really, really cool.
I'm always surprised. And yeah, I know Jason and I have said this before, but there's kind of random times when you'll be in whatever your daily life and like somebody will turn out to have been a fan or will be find out that you were in the band. And I just kind of at this point, I think maybe to some degree thought like, oh, that's just like ancient history. People don't care or know about us, or have forgotten about us, which that was sort of where we were at. And so even coming back, it's based on the fact that we've been kind of being asked, and there seems to be this attention, and that that is still there, and interest and love for the band still there, and that's been really sweet and lovely and humbling. So thanks everybody.
Totally. And music's forever. That's like people ask me like do you not discourage your daughter from being in a band and stuff? It's because it's really cool. And you have the rest of your life to like have a regular job or whatever. But the music you make, like it lasts, and it's important to people, which is really awesome.